My name's Graham Peter Taylor. I was in the Army for 6 years. I was born on the 9th of May 1952. My service number's 56212, and I was born in a country town called Three Springs. Yeah, we was on a farm in Carew for 12, 13 years of my early life. Well, on the farm, it was good. My dad worked on the farm, plus he was a shearer, and we used to go hunting. You know, we used to get rabbits, kangaroos, snare the kangaroos if we had no bullets for our rifles, and well, the cockies, you know, like the gillas, the parrots, pigeons. We had a ging and we used to shoot them or knock them down and pluck them and, you know, have a feed like that. And we had a bus, we had to go to school. We had to go around all the farms and pick up all the kids. And 1 month we'd be there, we'd be the first ones to jump on. It'll come our way, and then a month later we'll be the last to get on, go around, and that was Carew Primary School. At school itself, for me, it was pretty good really. All us kids, we stuck together, you know, Aboriginal, non-Aboriginal, because we all sort of knew each other where we lived, on the farm or in town. And I had some relations living in town, and my father, he was well known as a worker there and a shearer, and my uncles. In my family, I had myself and 3 brothers and 4 sisters, so there's 8 in the family. And yeah, we were quite a handful for our mum. She was only about 5'2", little lady, and my dad, he was close to 6 foot. So, and I'm in the middle. Yeah, I didn't grow that tall. High school, I went to first and second year. I think that was enough for me, because one bloke in Carew, he wanted me to work with him fixing up farm machinery. So I was working with him for 1 year until the welfare came and said, "Oh, do you want to go to Tarden, be an ag boy," which is like a farm boy, work on the farm, learning all things. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll give that a go, and that's where my cousins were too. So we thought we might just join the army and see the other side of Australia. So we got all our stuff together, the welfare organised everything, and I went down there to Perth, and Gary came down there after me. But when I went there, I went through to Kapooka, that's in New South Wales, do my corps training, and then I went to Ingleburn and done my corps training, that is for the infantry. And I turned 18 while I was there in Ingleburn, and I managed to go to Sydney, King's Cross, had a good time. And then when I finished my infantry training, I went on the train. They said, you're going to Townsville, to battalion, the 4th Battalion. And when we got there, it took us about 2-3 days, I think, on the train. And when we got there, our platoon commander said, we are the next battalion to go to Vietnam. We didn't know we were going to Vietnam or going to the war, but it sort of shocked me for a while. Then I thought, oh well, that's another big adventure for us. And my cousin who joined with me, Gary, he went to the 6th Battalion and they went to Singapore. And because all the Australian battalions, 2, 4, 6 and 8, were ANZAC battalions. And when we got to Vietnam, we had a company of New Zealand soldiers there waiting for us. It took us 11 days from Townsville to South Vietnam on the aircraft carrier HMAS Sydney. And it was an interesting voyage because when we had time off during the day, I'd look out to the ocean and I'd see all types of fish, deep sea snakes and turtles, whales, flying fish, and it was amazing. And when we finally got to South Vietnam, well, the aircraft carrier was outside of the port a bit, and helicopters came, and the big ones, the Chinooks, picked us up and brought us onto the land to our base, Nui Dat. And we thought, oh, well, we're here now. You know, that's after all the training we did in Canungra and up in Townsville in the rainforest. And now we got the real thing. And first of all, they put me as a forward scout, which was walking in front to lead the way, to make sure that we're going on the right track. It was very scary for me because it was the first time and in a war zone, and I was 19 because I turned 19 3 days before we left Townsville. And then we spent 7 months in South Vietnam, and during my time as a forward scout, I found a freshly built bunker system. It had all the trimmings, the camouflage, new boards and everything. The way I spotted it was because the sand, they had different colour sand on the side, and I said to my corporal, section commander, we got something up here. And we went and had a look. Luckily there was no one there, and they must have just built it and left. So we brought the engineers in and they destroyed it, and they said it was a good find for us, for our platoon. We had a few battles with the enemy, and a few months later, in early September, our platoon, we had a stretcher bearer there, but he was in the band, and they had to leave to do band duties, and I was the only one who'd done a first aid course in the platoon. So going from a forward scout to a stretcher bearer, where I was in the middle, I thought, well, this is great because it felt safe, you know. But then in a few weeks' time, they caught us, the enemy, and had us pinned down, and I had a few customers I had to patch up. And according to the men I patched up, they said I'd, you know, done a pretty good job, and you know, they're still alive now. So that is the main thing. And yeah, 7 months we done there, and when we came back, a lot of people thought that we were different. You know, I didn't broadcast that I went to Vietnam or anything, because so people will ask you all different types of stupid questions. And but after that, went back to Townsville. My platoon sergeant said, do you want to join for another 3 years? And I thought, okay then, because the company I was in was ready to go to Butterworth, that's in Malaya. And we spent 3 months over there, which was like a holiday camp for us because it was really good. You know, we only worked during the week, had the weekends off, and we'd go sightseeing and everywhere else, you know. It was a good area, and the people, well, they were unreal. They was everywhere, you know. In trucks, you'd get about 20 people trying to ride a motorbike or something. They're all jumping on it. And they'd be looking at us and we'd be looking at them. Yeah. I'd done another 3 months there after Christmas. See, in 74 up to just before December, and then after Christmas, 75, we went back there. And I think that was when the Vietnam War it collapsed and the Americans were pushed out and everything, yeah. And but in yeah, the last couple of years I spent in Townsville. I've been right up to Cooktown, Green Island, all through there, Lake Atherton, Tablelands, all through there, Laura, another place, Lion's Den, a little tin mining area, I think it was. Yeah, and then I finally got out. A lot of the friends, mates of mine said, "Oh, you'll be back because you've been too long in the army." And I thought, no, it's okay. I'll get out. I'll do what I want to, you know, and that's what I did. And I had a few jobs around in Perth, around my town, Carew. And 79 I went up north to Port Edlin, and I met my Mrs. to be in Carnarvon. We had 2 boys, 1980 and 81. So they're 45 and 44 now, and they've got children of their own. My oldest boy's got 7, and the younger one, he's got 1. Well, my oldest grandchild, he'll be 26 tomorrow, and he's down Perth with his girlfriend. But my son, he's living in Bunbury, but he works up in north of Newman on the mine there. He's been there for a number of years. Yeah, his little children are down there, and his older children are in Shark Bay. So I've got them spread around, and for my experience in the army, in the military, well, at recruit training, I did have one sort of racist remark towards me, but I just let it flow over. I didn't worry about it. And when I was in the infantry training, it was okay, it was a lot better. And when I got to the battalion, it was even better because we knew we was going overseas and we had to look after each other. And that's what we did, you know. And when I became the stretcher bearer and I patched up a few that got wounded, you know, they really appreciated it. And same with me because, you know, no one died when I was there with them. So, and we're still mates now, well, more or less like brothers. Yeah, and but when I came back out, when I met my missus, the mother of my 2 boys, we came here to Geraldton, and we've been here ever since. That's from 80, 81 here, so that's 45 years now here. And on my mother's side, I'm originally from inland to Mount Magnet area, Buddy Maya tribe. And my father, he's from around this area. He's grandfather was born here, and they went to Nunoisia. Oh, they was taken there, you know, in the early days. They was taken away. Yeah. And from here, all those years, I worked 10 years on the main roads. That is building roads. We went inland to Meekatharra, all through, used to drive the grader then, and went from Meekatharra to Wiluna. There's another town. We just getting the corrugations off the road, you know, making it nice and smooth, but after a week later you've got to do it again. So, you know, it's a never-ending story for that. And I've been with the Street Work Corporation for about 10 or 15 years, and with Bundyarra here for about nearly 10 years or so. So I am one of the directors here in the committee, and so that's how we got this memorial that's at the back of me. We've got that, and I've made sure that all the names there are the people who have lived here in Geraldton, born here, come from here, or married someone from here, you know, and they had ties here throughout the Midwest, which is from Geraldton, Carnarvon, Meekatharra down to Jurien Bay, all through that area. Bundyarra is a community-run corporation, and we're more or less based here, and we've got branches all through the Midwest, what we call the Geraldton area. We've got a short stay that is being built just down the road from us. That should be open by the end of this year or early next year, and that's for people who wants to come here for hospital business, dialysis, or funerals. See, they can probably stay for about a week or 13 days, and then they'll probably, you know, go back home then. Depends, or if they can register again to stay. Depends on what really they are doing here. But it is a short stay that they can, within a week or a little bit more. Yeah, and the corporation here in Bundyarra is well organised. We had what we call this Yamatji on country, because Yamatji is the tribal name of the all the tribes joined together within this area. And we have about 11 or so tribes with their own language. Two was mainly spoken, which is Wadjuri and Budimaya, and the others, we are trying to bring them back out because they haven't disappeared. They were just sitting there for someone to reinvent them, you know, bring them out there. A lot of the young people here, you know, through sports and that, they are pretty fit, and that's what the Army Reserve is doing here now, is trying to get in touch into their frame of mind, work, to see if they would be interested in joining the military. And when I do talk to some of the younger generation, I always say, you know, you can join the military and you can have a job, you know, totally different from just going out and fighting, because it's not always that. And to me, I think it needs to be done for the younger generation to see if they want to join, to build the military up, because I know now that is it's gone, way down, and they do need people there in the military, either the Navy, Air Force or Army, so that we can build our strength up and give the younger generation discipline so that they can be a better person within themselves and for their family. Especially when I went to Sydney for the first time, it was just mind-blowing. I just said, wow, look at this place. And Melbourne, when I had a few days off, I went there and saw Melbourne. It's so big. And for me, when I was in Townsville, even that place there is very big now, Townsville. And from there back to Eardgilton, it's more peaceful, down to earth, and you can, relations, you always get relations who are going bush, and if it's, the right time to bring some kangaroo meat back, they'll do that for you. Or even if we go, like a couple of weeks ago, they had the show at Mollawar, and they're famous for their wildflowers. And the wildflowers there are just like carpets of prettiness, yellow, red, white, all those colours, and even down Perth now, well, I don't like it too much because it's a bit too fast for me, and I'm always glad to come back here to Gilton. Yeah, see, here in Gilton we have a plant that's named after Gilton, the Gilton wax, and this is one of the trees there. Oh, yeah. So it comes in about 3 different colours, dark purple, that colour, and white, maybe another little pinky sort of colour, yeah. So, and there's a lot of that Gilton wax down Perth grown, you'll see on the side of the road too. Okay, see, when I see the wildflowers, I stop and pick one. I make sure I only pick the tame ones because the wildflowers, they'd be too wild to pick. No, that's just a little joke. Well, my biggest happiness is that my 2 sons have grown up to be men and fathers, and to see my grandkids grow up, and I want them to grow up and know me instead of just looking at photos of me, to say, oh, this is my pop. And they'll say, yeah, I know Pop, I seen him when I was growing up. And the wisdom part about it is to make sure that they live a good, fulfilled life and do what they think is best for them and their children, and to make it easier than trying to struggle, and also to love and be kind and generous to your children and grandchildren and all down the line, yeah. Well, on the veterans' point of view, I think the other generations, the wider community that haven't done any service or anything, should look towards the veterans and show them a bit of sympathy and respect them for what they've done. It doesn't matter if you've been overseas or anywhere, even if you were a national serviceman, but you done your training and you're ready to go and serve your country, but through the government's point of view they stopped it and you couldn't go. But you done all the training and you was there to serve your country. That's where a lot of people should show their respect, is towards the people who have been in the military. That's it for a lot of people. Things might have happened to them within their life in the military, and some want to share it and some don't, but just the general public show their respect towards the veterans themselves because they don't know what they've been through.